1. So this took place February 2016. And I'm sorry that this premonition story isn't very interesting. I didn't see my own death. It's just kind of random. But it happened, so it's enough to freak me out. I'm a university student and a part of a few societies. In one of them, there's a girl who I never spoke to. She's quite indifferent to me and never tried to smile or talk to me, if we were in the same conversation with a group of people. So I never really thought about her. Then one night I had a dream about her, and in this dream she had her arms around my shoulders hugging me, and kissing my forehead whilst telling me that I'm cute. I'm a girl too, by the way. The details in the dream were like, she was wearing a black dress with white spots. There were concrete walls. The details weren't important, but that's what I remember. Anyway, it was a strange dream, but I remember it made me grow a bit of a crush on her. I told my friends about the dream. They didn't know her, so I was safe telling them, and I exaggerated it a bit and told them it was a sex dream. I felt stupid admitting it was just a dream about her kissing me on the forehead. Anyway, I went to the society again and saw her. I noticed her and became kind of sad when she did her usual indifference thing. Dreams do weird things to people. So about a week after this dream, I went to a friend's birthday party. It took place in the basement of her building. Anyway, the girl who I dreamed about, wearing the black dress with the white spots on it, was there. Got drunk fast, and my friend, who I texted the dream to, got quite drunk and they began making out. She had a boyfriend. I told my friend in secret that she was the girl I was secretly crushing on. So my friend said, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." But they began making out again anyway. After a while, when I was talking with people, my friend joined in with us. The girl tried to make out with my friend again, but she felt bad and instead pushed me into her. I think it's understandable where this is going. She wrapped her arms around my shoulders and began kissing me on the forehead, while saying, "You're so cute." I wasn't even thinking about the dream while it happened. I just felt really happy, even though she was drunk and making out with anyone. About a day later, I was thinking about the party and the kissing on the forehead. I then thought about my dream. I don't know, she was on my mind, I had a crush. And then realized similarities between my dream and the experience. Then I realized everything from the look of the room to the dress she was wearing. Had never seen the dress before the dream or been to that basement. Was exactly the same. Even the arms around my shoulders, every feeling and detail was the same. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't think anyone would believe me. The only person I eventually told was my friend, the one who was making out with her. And I reminded her about the dream I had, and then explained how the thing at the party was my dream. Her reaction was, "Oh my god, that's so cool, you had a premonition." Not sure if she believed me or not, or thought I was making a mistake. 2. I was driving home from my college class tonight, and when I was 5 minutes from my house, I got stopped at a red light. I have a habit of checking my rear view frequently when I'm at traffic lights, because I've been rear-ended by large vehicles when stopped on both the freeways and in town. I also used to be a driving instructor, so this probably has something to do with it also. It's a good habit to be in. At any rate, when I looked up, this car missed hitting me by a few inches. Dumbass. Flying up to the red light, not looking, swerves to the next lane, slams on the brakes. I'm good, albeit pissed off. A minute later, the light changes. The guy in front of me apparently was drunk, and on his way to the bar. At the light, you have to turn left immediately to the right after this turns into a local neighborhood bar. Drunk guy swerves into the other lane, going approximately 1 mile per hour, which fortunately left dumbass and the guy in front of him plenty of time to go into the shoulder. Now, I mention all of this because it was immediately after this I looked up in my rear view again to see what was going on. Since it was night, I had the night reflector on my mirror because the headlights of cars behind me are blinding. I'm in the far left lane, no way to turn into another lane for a few intersections. I see somebody behind me, and out of habit, I look in my driver's mirror. No car. I'm like, what? And look back in the rear view. There they are. I notice they have their left signal on. I'm like, okay. I figure he must be in a blind spot. I lean over to my driver's mirror again, and lean even further and look into my convex mirrors. No one. Now I'm super confused, because I can see him in my rear view, but not my side mirrors. At this point, I do a quick glance back, and no damn car. Not only that, but it was pitch black inside my car aside from the dash lights, and from his position there should have been glare in my car. And now here's the part that I'm just so... I don't even know. I finally get to the turn for my neighborhood. It's a left turn. I'm not even kidding, when I turned onto our main street, this guy was suddenly everywhere. Left turn signal right behind me in all of my mirrors, and his headlights right in my car. Not only that, but he turned left again immediately after that onto another street. I've been running this through my head since it happened, trying to think of how to explain this. My most rational explanations are, of course, being in a blind spot. But I've never had anyone disappear like this before. I mean, no lights in my car. I couldn't even see him when I turned my head around. I don't know. My next explanation is overtired. I had a 2.5-hour trigonometry lecture tonight, and the kids ran me ragged on not enough sleep after way too much math homework last night. Plausible. However, this whole thing took like a full 3 to 4 minutes straight of happening. And while it was occurring, my adrenaline was pumping between almost being hit by that guy, the drunk guy almost hitting people, and my deep confusion about the car disappearing. So I don't know. It was so damn weird. 3. So last month I was visiting home from college for a weekend. On that Saturday, my brother and I decided to go to see a movie one night. But he was working shortly beforehand, so we took separate cars to the theater. Anyways, we see the movie and each head home in our own cars. For most of the trip home, I didn't see my brother's car on the road, took different routes, until we were back in town. The theater we went to was about 40 minutes away and in another city. To get to my neighborhood, there is a long stretch of highway you must go down for a couple of miles before you turn left into the entrance. This is where I am 2 cars behind my brother, and things get weird. So I'm on the long road with 1 car in front of me, and my brother's car in front of that. Nothing else was behind me. And as it was night, it was fairly easy to determine that, as I saw no headlights nor was anything visible in street lamps in my rear mirror. Just as we all 3 take a slight bend in the road, right before you turn left to the neighborhood, I notice in my rear view mirror some bright headlights far off in the distance, coming from a car that must have just turned onto the long road. I only took note of it because I thought to myself the lights were unusually bright, reflecting in my mirror for the car to be so far away. I guess maybe 3 to 4 miles. So we all turn into the neighborhood entrance, and not even 3 seconds after I pass the sign, and am officially inside, does this car appear behind me. Same bright lights, but closer, acting as if it had been following me the whole time. I thought 2 things at that moment. 1, there is no way that car I saw in the distance would have made it right behind me in that amount of time after I noticed it. And 2, if it isn't the same car, maybe someone was following me without their lights on. But I tended not to believe that. For 1, it freaks me out, and 2, because I didn't hear the car or see it reflecting any light from my car or street lamps on the road. But it gets a little weirder. I'm trying not to freak out, so I just keep going back home. At one point, the car in front of me turns off at a stop sign, and now it's just my brother, me, and mystery car behind me. I kept glancing back at the car in nervousness, but the lights were very bright. There is a part of the road in my neighborhood on the way to my house that is wide behind, with no turnoffs, all thick trees on either side. As we all three continue down said bend, I notice that as I turn out of it, the car behind me is no longer there. I'm super confused and don't know where it could have possibly gone. There are no dirt roads or paths, just pine trees, and the road is raised from the natural ground. Immediate thought, ghost car. When my brother and I arrived home, I asked him if he noticed the insanely bright lights behind him and me. But he said no, and I told him all about the car. He agrees with ghost or glitch/teleporting car. What do you think? 4. When I was 10, I rode this bike that had no pedals. It was just 2 bars, so it was easy to have a foot slip and fall. I was riding around with friends on this road, and we were trying to hit this ramp when I slip off the bike and slam into the ground. Let me remind you that I was on asphalt, which isn't too kind on sliding around with a cotton shirt. When I slammed into the ground, I was on my back, and my friend was barreling down towards me. My left arm was splayed out, where he would run over it in a matter of microseconds, and he was on a mountain bike, so it would have broken it. Somehow, though, I find myself twisting, as if like a top on a glass surface, and totally missed the bike. This was a huge bike, mind you, and I spun fast. So how did the bike not hit my legs? I remember it in like slow motion. As soon as the bike was about to hit my arm, everything slowed down and I spun. My legs were pulled up towards my chest, and they were spinning towards the bike. But they somehow went under the bike's pedals and kept spinning, so they were out of there by the time the back tire would hit them. I entirely avoided the bike by spinning on the asphalt like it was some glossed-up glass, and I was oiled up like a Sunday hooker. Looking back, I shouldn't have been able to spin like that with a cotton shirt on. Those things snag and tear on asphalt. The second incident was when I was riding my bike home. I was going fast because I kept noticing weird bugs. There were a lot of them, and they kept swarming around me and hitting my chest. I live in a very religious family who believe in the Christian Bible, so for a second I thought that the insect plague was happening. So I go to turn and hit a rock, which causes my handles to get thrown from my hands and me go flying over them. I saw the ground rushing up towards my face. In less than a second, I would faceplant hard. I was going fast, fast enough to have killed me if my face hit. But somehow, my entire body twisted in those microseconds, and instead of faceplanting, my back left shoulder hits the ground, taking the brunt of the impact. And if I think back on it, it happened so fast I had no clue what the hell happened. I was riding my bike, and the next second I was sitting up on the ground with my entire left arm scraped and bleeding, wondering what had just happened. My bike was totaled. A similar incident happened in the middle of a busy intersection. I wiped out on my bike and was going to severely faceplant, but again, my left shoulder somehow got under me. I remember with total clarity what happened, and there is no way I could have physically twisted my body that fast. I'd done some super fast reflex stuff, like catching a falling glass without realizing it, but nothing like that. Bonus, I know some people are going to complain about this next story, but I know a hallucination when I see one. I tried to commit suicide by pills. Stupid, I know. But as I was recovering, and yes, I was hallucinating my ass off, I noticed one thing that wouldn't change. You see, every hallucination I had was different every time, though one thing remained consistent. All the way to the point the drugs were barely in my system enough for me to hallucinate. Every time I would stare at the wall for more than a few seconds, it would stretch towards me, like a hand coming out of the wall, Stranger Things style. The closer it got, the slower I could feel my heart going, which was weird seeing as my heart rate wasn't below 140 BPM, the entire time when I wasn't in this hallucination. I could see a skeletal hand stretching towards me from the wall, as if in another dimension and trying to tear the fabric of my reality. One time I saw a skull face, also Stranger Things style. It struck such fear into me my heart stopped. I heard my monitor flatline for so long as I stared at that face in the wall, stretching towards me. But each time the thing got close I heard this whisper, and my eye would snap away and the thing disappeared. The whisper said, "No." And yes, I know, probably not a glitch. But what was it? I've hallucinated a lot before, but never that Reaper thing. 5. I just recently started a glitch diary, because I want to document everything strange, out of the ordinary or glitchy that happens to me. Many of my glitches are just small annoyances, like I would place a book down on the coffee table, and I would later find it in my car from where I got it. I also get deja vu of conversations and people's actions. There are also times where I totally misremember what someone looks like. I remember someone having blue eyes when they are actually brown. Small things like that. My first big glitch that made me question everything. It happened to me during a meeting where other people can support my glitch claim. The meeting was held during lunch, so I brought a banana, a sandwich, and a water bottle. I remember eating my food and waiting until the meeting was over to throw my trash away. I didn't want to be rude and walk across the room to toss my trash. After roughly 45 minutes, the meeting ended, and I gathered my belongings to go back to my office. But I couldn't find my trash. I looked everywhere around me and still couldn't find it. I asked some of my co-workers and they didn't remember me getting up to toss it, nor do they remember anyone taking it for me. Feeling some panic start to set in, I made my way out of the office and just happened to glance into the trash can, only to find my trash. It was almost like I willed it. Another big glitch that messed with my mind happened when I was pet sitting for a family friend. They are very old school and don't have a coffee maker. To make my morning coffee, I need to use the kettle to boil water. Then I need to pour the water over the coffee grounds, which are in a strainer over a mug. I can recall doing all of these steps to make my morning coffee. I left the kitchen to let the dogs out, only to come back to find the mug back on its shelf, and the kettle was cold. I apparently never made my coffee. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 5 True Glitch in the Matrix Stories, Episode 27. I'd like to say thank you very much to everyone who allowed me to use their stories in this video. And of course a special thanks to the author of the last story, who is actually a subscriber, and she was very kind and she sent her glitch experiences in to me. So thank you very much to everyone. And it was a bit unusual to have a glitch video on Saturday, usually a Thursday thing, but it was either going to be that or TIFU this week, and the glitch stories were, well, they won out. I got them first, and that kind of made the decision itself for me. Now, before I go, of course, I would like to say thank you very much to everyone for the wonderful, wonderful comments you left on my 200th episode special. It was greatly appreciated. It does my heart good to see some of the very nice things you folks wrote. You were very complimentary about the stories and super nice about the Q&A. I have to admit, I went over it a few times, that Q&A, thinking, am I being too blunt here? Maybe I should rephrase that. Even re-recorded a couple of answers because I heard it back and I thought, oh dude, you sound like a dick. You're gonna have to rephrase that. And so I'm very glad it turned out as well as it did. Well, I better rush off and get to work on the next few videos, as I often do on Friday. I'm working super hard to try and get the 3 videos done to clear my weekend out, because I plan on spending the weekend on the sofa, and I'm going to replay Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishments. Or maybe I'll get The Wolf Among Us or something, or I might try a new game. I've got a bunch of games in my Steam library that I've purchased, I just haven't actually installed yet. I tend to wait till their deals go on, the good deals, and get them as cheap as I can. I mean, why would I pay like 20 plus quid for a game when I can get it for about £4? Yeah, so that will be my weekend. Okay, and with that, I think I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.